You know what I wish existed when my kids were little? Great Wolf Lodge. An indoor water park inside your hotel where it's always 84 degrees, especially living in Phoenix where the sidewalks burn your toes. That would have been amazing. At Great Wolf Lodge, the whole family gets to splash around in a massive indoor water park with a wave pool, a lazy river, and water slides that you can all ride together. But here's what's really cool about it. They also have Magi Quest, which is a live action adventure game kids play throughout the entire lodge. It's like the magic never stops and your kids are always occupied. Between the Northern Lights Arcade, the great dining options, and the complimentary dance parties nightly, there's genuinely something for everyone all under one roof. No packing up and driving somewhere every hour. No, I'm bored. Just connection, fun, and honestly, a little magic for you too. With 22 lodges across the country, there's probably one close to you. Check it out at greatwolf.com and bring your pack together. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone. Oh, for all of you lovers of education out there, or if you are a parent worried about your kid in school, this is the episode for you. Most moms I talk to are doing everything they can to give their kids a good education. You're helping with homework, you're staying on top of grades, you're making sure nothing falls through the cracks. And on paper, your child might even be doing really well, but there's still this question underneath. Is this actually preparing them for life? Because being a quote unquote good student and being truly well educated aren't always the same thing. And the issue isn't that you're not doing enough. And it's not that your child isn't capable. It's that most of us were taught to measure education in a really narrow way: grades, test scores, checking the boxes, rote memorization. But real education is something much deeper. It's about how your child thinks, how they solve problems, and how they navigate the world when no one is telling them what to do. And if we don't shift what we're aiming for, we can accidentally raise kids who succeed in school, but then struggle outside of it. So today we're going to break this down into 3 parts: what it really means to be well educated beyond the grades and test scores, why traditional school success doesn't always translate to real world skills, and how to raise a child who can think, learn, and thrive independently. Stay with me because this conversation is going to challenge what most of us believe about education. And honestly, what we've been working so hard to do as moms. Joining us today is Dr. Deborah Kenny. She is the founder of Harlem Village Academies and the Deeper Learning Institute, and one of the most influential voices in education today. She's been recognized by Columbia University Teachers College, named to Oprah's Power List, and featured as one of Esquire's Best and Brightest. Deborah holds a PhD in Comparative International Education from Columbia and has spent her career rethinking what it really means for kids to get a high-quality education. She's also a mom of 3 grown children, bringing both professional insight and real-life experience to this work. And The Well-Educated Child is her latest book. Stick with me today because, oh my gosh, we talk about the influence of screens on education. We talk about the problems with testing in schools and what parents can actually do at home to help their kids really learn well and be well educated. So now let's get on with the show. Welcome to the podcast, Deborah. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be with you.
I was just looking at Harlem Village Academies, the school that you run, and oh my gosh, it looks like a dream as a teacher. You talk about teachers teaching out of a love of teaching, and that is so different from what I saw in the school environment before I left. It was so test score driven.
Well, I think the most undervalued profession in the country is teachers. As we were chatting before, I really believe teachers should be paid like doctors and respected like doctors. And the whole profession really needs to be looked at as sort of the highest and best use of one's life. And in society teachers should be revered. And having said that, there's a lot of room for improvement in the school system itself across the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that because teachers should be revered. They have the most important job. And I know a lot of teachers, I mean, I've been out of the classroom for 10 years now, but when I was in the classroom, teachers were feeling it. They were feeling that they didn't have the instructional control over their classrooms and they were being told to do things in the classroom that not necessarily benefited the students in the way that they thought the students could grow and could learn.
Well, there's something to be said for consistency in a school and for clarity of vision. There does need to be a statement when you're a teacher joining a school. There needs to be a statement and a parent when you're a parent considering schools, right?
Yeah.
Different schools can have different philosophies. It's just that we need to have
Mm,
clarity on, well, what is it and do I agree with it? And then at the same time, everyone has to be held accountable too.
absolutely. And in your book, The Well Educated Child, you talk about what this definition of being well educated is. What does that mean? How is it different from what most of us were taught to focus on growing up?
Well, it's funny you say that because I myself had a typical suburban American upbringing. And my high school, I was just bored, and I remember a lot of memorization. I remember just the environment in school was such that what you really cared about was whether something's going to be on the test, then you should memorize it so that you can get a grade. I don't recall a lot of being inspired or being driven or feeling that in school. Now, I did feel that in my summer camp, which I talk about in chapter 1 of The Well Educated Child. I say I got my real education at summer camp, which was a place where being an intellectual was really something we all aspired to. But back to your question about what it means to be well educated. I mean, first, it's about quality thinking, which means not only independent thinking, but having a both broad and deep knowledge. Sometimes people talk about the reading wars or the different philosophical differences, and people will compare knowing a little bit about a lot of things
Mm,
or going deep on one thing as if you can only choose between the two of those.
mm,
I believe that just like in exercise, you don't choose between weightlifting, running, and stretching. They all serve a different purpose
right.
and they are interrelated in the same way. I believe that depth of understanding is important, but a breadth of knowledge is also important to be a well educated person and to be able to have the kind of reading list in school that by the end of K to 12, you have read the great books
Mhm.
of civilization, of what, the Western civilization, diverse books, and you've gained an insight into the human condition and you've sort of have a perspective from which to judge effectively
Absolutely.
everything else for the rest of your life. I mean, that's part one of being well educated, just that quality thinking.
Yeah, that is something that I really credit my high school did really well. I get in these conversations with my husband all the time because I never read in school The Great Gatsby. I never read it because our curriculum was stuff like Bless Me Ultima and Their Eyes Were Watching God and just so many of these diverse books taking from a variety of cultural experiences that shape me so differently than the typical high school curriculum. And I'm so, so grateful for it. And it's just brought more empathy, I feel, to my life. And it can deliver more empathy to kids as well who get that kind of diverse knowledge. What like other key experiences do you feel like kids need to be well educated other than reading diverse literature and seeing that?
And to be clear, I think that the classics have enormous value
Hmm.
and diverse literature has enormous value. And in many cases, diverse books are classics. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think they both play a critical role. And in the book, I talk about three pillars of being a well educated child and what, as a parent, or a teacher, you want to be looking for and making sure that the child or children in your care have all three.
Yes.
So the first, we talked about quality thinking. The second is agency.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that we create the conditions in which a child will grow into a young adult who takes initiative, is resourceful, follows through, is driven, and cares about the quality of their work,
Mm.
and will end up therefore spending hours because it's theirs, right? So agency is, being self-directed rather than just following along, being a
Ah,
follower. It's
yes.
being a leader rather than a follower, but that can mean a leader in your own life. And then the third component I refer to as ethical purpose. And what I mean by this is, with ethics as a foundation, integrity and kindness and the universal values, that you during school take time, and as parents and as educators, we make sure to have these conversations. It doesn't have to be every day or even every week, but it is on a regular basis throughout their education, to have children understand that there is a purpose. What is the path for you to figure out, well, why was I put on this earth? What am I here to contribute?
Mm.
In my short time, what will I do? What will I do to contribute to the greater good? And that opportunity to have these conversations with your peers during school as a pre-adolescent and then as a teenager. And you're not necessarily going to discern your purpose by 12th grade. Now, there
Yeah.
are some people who say, yo-yo ma, when I was 6 years old or whatever it was, I knew that playing the cello was it right there.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that really throws some people off when they hear that, because they get very stressed out about their kids, like not committing to something early on. And so, like, I love that you bring this up. Like, don't be stressed out if like you don't find your purpose right away.
Absolutely. It could be during college. It could be in your 20s. It could be
Mm.
in your 30s. As long as you look at life I believe you want your kids to look at life as not what can I earn, not materialistically, not in a commercial way, but in a more spiritual way. And I don't even necessarily mean that religiously for those who have different views on spirituality or religion. I just mean it as living in a purposeful way
Mm.
and realizing that you have a gift. There's something that's going to light you up, and that purpose is a thing.
Yes.
And just making sure to have those conversations with your kids and to help them explore a lot so that something sparks. And then when it does, they get a chance to go deeper and discover their passions.
Moving into spring always makes me want to declutter, like not just the closets, but everything. And that includes my finances. Because honestly, I was shocked when I opened Monarch and saw how much of our income was quietly disappearing into subscriptions I had completely forgotten about. Apps I signed up for because they sounded amazing at 11 p.m. You know how it is, and then never opened again. Let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more scattered logins, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code NOGUILT. And here's what I really love, the weekly AI recap, because one week it flagged a spending spike on takeout and delivery. And look, I get it. It was a tired week, but seeing it laid out like that made me think, okay, I need some easy, low effort meal prep in my life so that a hard week doesn't also become an expensive week. That's the kind of thing Monarch catches before it quietly becomes a habit. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
I just got back from Japan, and packing is always my nemesis. I always end up with like 4 bags just for my toiletries. But this trip was different. I brought my Quince travel case, and the leather felt incredible. It had these built-in straps, like little slots perfectly sized for my makeup brushes, so I didn't have to just stuff them in. And all of my toiletries fit. All of it in one gorgeous case. I didn't have to pack 3 separate bags. I didn't have to dig around for anything. I was organized and it was beautiful, which apparently is something I didn't know I needed until I had it. That's the thing about Quince. They make pieces that are premium quality without the ridiculous markup. We're talking 100% European linen, organic cotton, soft denim, leather bags made from 100% hand-woven Italian leather, and styles starting around $50. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen. So the price you see, that's for the quality, not the brand name. Their spring pieces are lightweight, breathable, and the kind of things you just throw on and look like you have it all together, even if you absolutely do not. I'm speaking from experience. Refresh your spring wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/NGM for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/NGM for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/NGM. Oh, absolutely, Deborah. Like, I could not agree more. That is one thing that we do here at No Guilt Mom, saying that mom is the role model. Because in addition to that, I also think that parents, not just having conversations with kids about what lights them up, but parents are also showing their kids that they have purpose and they're lit up by something, so that the kids see this example of an adult going through life with like contribution and inspiration and motivation, because I don't think that you can be that unless you see it.
Yeah, I love that you said mom as the role model because, in my view, being a really good mother and, that in itself could be one's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean I'm seeking fame or fortune or I'm
No,
going to
yeah.
start a company, or it can really be simple as well. It's each person figuring out, you know, for themselves. And the reason I think this is so important is that our current school system in America, and it's been this way for a long time, but currently it's even more, I think, acute. It does such a disservice to children because it has them thinking that high school is like this rat race
Right.
where you have to beat out everybody else, class rank, grades, scores, class rank is all there is. And I'm not saying that grades don't matter or scores don't matter. I think tests matter to the extent they are quality tests, right?
Mm-hmm. And can
Quality
you
tests.
define quality tests versus non-quality tests?
Sure. In my view, quality testing compels the school system to make sure that students are reading, writing, and engaging in discourse and problem solving for the majority of the day. And so that I'll give you an example. The International Baccalaureate, which is a curricular framework that started out in Europe as curriculum for the ambassadors' children and that kind. Now we use this framework. It's so different from, let's say, when my kids took the AP exams, it was all about memorization.
Right.
So if that's what the exam is, you're compelled as a school to then drill kids with memorizing huge amounts of information as the curriculum. But the International Baccalaureate has kids writing research papers. Some of them are extended essays, some of them are projects, research papers that they engage in for an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to have read 7 or 8 books, and then they're presented with new books, and they have to be adept enough to be able to analyze or write historical analysis papers or write up a science lab. All of that reading and writing and work that's involved and required in order to do well in that test, that's quality, right? Now,
Right.
it costs more. to do it that way, because you have to train to score those. You have to be the master teacher of the master teacher in the whole world to qualify to be trained and then compensated according, well, to score those. You get what you pay for, right? So
Absolutely,
a machine
yes.
scored multiple choice with memorization, or writing a research paper. Oh, and oral defense of the exams and of your ideas, which is so important, right?
It's so important. It's a skill I don't think many people learn unless they go into college or even like graduate level programs.
Exactly. So that's what I meant by quality testing.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because when I took my AP exams and I graduated in 99, it was a lot of memorization. And my daughter, who is right now a high school senior, she went through this class called AP Seminar. And it is a lot what you were talking about. I mean, this was not offered when I was a high school student. She engaged in like a presentation kind of research project thing where she had to take a stance on an issue and then present and defend it to her teacher, who is the qualified scorer, to get that AP score. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting and could really give kids these real world skills.
Yeah, it sounds like they took some inspiration from the IB there, but or wherever it came from. I'm glad that that's happening now.
Yeah, me too. Why do you think like a lot of moms are very, very concerned, a lot of parents in general, about A's on the report card?
Yeah.
Why do you think traditional school success, like good grades and high test scores, doesn't really translate into real world readiness?
I guess it all depends on the school. It could do that, right? I believe that if there are schools, and there are, that are pursuing a rigorous liberal arts education, in my view, that does prepare kids for whatever they might pursue later in life, because it teaches them how to think. However,
Mm.
what I think you're getting at is the traditional public schools. The curriculum, instruction, assessment, and grades in traditional public schools don't prepare kids for the real world. And to the extent that that's happening, I think it's because there's a lot of memorization rather than problem solving. There's short passages rather than reading full books now. So there's a lack of what I talked about earlier, which is agency. Everything is
Right.
if the teacher's making a presentation, you're taking notes. Where's the agency in that? And one of the things that, when you say real world, if we're talking about either college, or if we're talking about the world of work, or the world of, let's say, societal leadership, right? Civic leadership, in all those cases, you need agency. You need kids who are going to grow into young adults who will be driven, take initiative, be resourceful, stick with something, be persistent, revise their work 7 times until it's excellent. Those are the skills that people want, as you say, in the real world. Well, those are not really focused on in schools as much as behavior and compliance. And, you
Yes.
know, the bane of our existence as educators who care about what's really good for kids.
Is get the kids in swim lessons sitting on your mental to do list right now? Maybe it's been there since last summer. No judgment. You're not behind and you are not the only one. Here's what I love about Goldfish Swim School. They get it. Their whole approach is built around meeting kids exactly where they are, not rushing them, not stressing them out, just building real water confidence and safety skills at their own pace. They use something called the science of swim play, which blends guided play with proven teaching techniques. So your kid is basically having fun and learning to be safe in the water. It's a win-win. And they've thought of everything too. Warm indoor pools, professionally trained lifeguards on deck at every single lesson, flexible scheduling, and easy makeups right through their app. Because life is busy and consistency shouldn't be a battle. Goldfish has lessons for kids as young as 4 months all the way through age 12. If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations. Just visit goldfishswimschool.com deborahkenny.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE. It's a simple way to get started and feel confident knowing you're giving your child skills that really matter.
Kayak gets my flight, hotel, and rental car right, so I can tune out travel advice that's just plain wrong.
Bro, Skycoin. Way better than points.
Never fly during a Scorpio full moon.
Just tell the manager you'll sue. Instant room upgrade.
Stop taking bad travel advice. Start comparing hundreds of sites with Kayak and get your trip right. Kayak. Got that right.
Now's the time to save on new carpet at the Home Depot. Receive 10% off your total carpet project and 12 months special financing. Plus, we'll measure your space for free. Choose from a variety of stylish, on-trend options fit for everyday life with LifeProof with pet-proof technology, Home Decorators Collection, and Traffic Master carpets. Save 10% and get 12 months special financing now at the Home Depot. Offer valid April 16th through May 3rd, 2026. Exclusions apply. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Yeah. Oh, I saw this. I saw this in the classroom, and I've seen this also in my kids' education. One of the things, like I discussed with another parent who is a former teacher, is that both of our kids are in this gifted curriculum in the district. And the way they teach the gifted classes is project-based learning, a lot of looking at something, reworking it, figuring out your hypothesis, all of these wonderful things that correspond to what you're talking about with real world readiness. But in the other schools, there's piles of worksheets.
Right.
The kids are just not excited about class. And a lot of these schools are actually the Title I schools, the ones with the, like I used to teach at a Title I school, and I'm really passionate about that. The kids who need the most help with getting motivated and getting excited about education are given this horrible curriculum.
Right. Well, Zaretta Hammond has written about this in such a profound way. And she basically says, you don't give kids challenging work and then you wonder why they're not capable of being challenged. And if you don't believe in them in the first place, and then you don't give them challenging work and then you do the work for them, and then you wonder now in the next, from second to third to fourth grade, oh, now you wonder why they're not capable of being challenged. They are. It's on us.
They are.
Right? It's on us.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're right that this is especially doing a disservice to kids of color. And we have to understand that the kids are perfectly capable. And I talk about this a lot in the book. When I talk about these ideas and what we can do in a practical way, these ideas are applicable at all socioeconomic levels to all kids. Mm-hmm. In fact, in addition to the kids in my schools, right, who are mostly kids of color, these are the same ideas that I want and would want for my own kids and for all the kids around the country, which is the highest, most ambitious level of teaching and learning. And in the well-educated child, I get into real detail, like here's what you can do in the classroom and here's what you can do at home. Interestingly, John Legend, who wrote the foreword of the book, said that when he read it, he said, my mind was racing with ideas for things I can do to implement these practices at home with my 4 children. And, agency is an example of that. One of the things I say is we don't want to motivate kids with reward, punishment, prizes, or even praise. Instead, we want to create the conditions in which kids will be self-motivated, self-directed.
Absolutely. Like I cannot say that again, Deborah. Like the self-motivation is huge. And when you're talking about this and like the things that we could do at home and creating agency and letting kids be more independent, like what are some practical things that parents can do and implement in their houses?
Well, I'll give you one example, and then maybe you can give me a couple scenarios or problems, and we can talk about, what usually comes up, with your audience. So an example is if let's say your child started to get into an argument with the kid who was over playing with your child, or if it was a teenager, a argument at that level. If you intervene and try to solve the problem for them, you are taking away the opportunity for them to exercise agency. What you can do, that doesn't mean you do nothing. What you
Mhm.
can do is ask a really astute guiding question that will get them to figure it out for themselves. We care about our kids, and we want to be, you want to kind of jump in there and tell them what to do and how to do it, and you know and
Right.
sometimes modeling is right, so you model kindness, right? For
Mhm.
example, you hold the door open for the UPS guy, look him in the eye, ask him how his day is going. You're modeling kindness and respect, so you do model. There are times that call for that, and now I'm veering off into another subject, which is the values of kindness and empathy, which I think are so important, and treating people respectfully. But back to agency, not doing the problem solving for them, but asking them one or two astute questions. Sometimes, if you're not sure what to ask, you can say, well, what are your thoughts on how to best resolve this? You can say, well, what do you think?
Mm.
Something as simple as that. And when kids see that you take them seriously, they take themselves more seriously.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's such a simple question for parents to ask. How do you think you should solve this? What do you think you could do to solve this situation? Versus coming in and being like, you know what? You should apologize to Susie because that wasn't right. I mean, that is going to bring up a whole load of defensiveness. I have a common parent scenario that I hear a lot in my audience: the kid who refuses to do their homework. Like, how can a parent really address that at home?
There's a parent and a teacher perspective on everything, and then there's the whole full picture. The first
Mhm.
thing that I am hoping is that the homework is valuable, and what I mean by that is that it's challenging and interesting. And
Yes.
if it's not, honestly, you might consider talking with the teacher. Now that's a little sensitive because sometimes the teacher's constrained, or maybe it's a first year teacher who doesn't have the experience. So you have to do it in an appropriate and respectful way. But, I think my child could use more challenge. Is there any, that finding the right way? So asking yourself first, well, is this valuable? Does it have value to my child? Is it interesting and challenging? Because usually, if it is,
Mhm.
the child usually wouldn't be given such a problem, right? So it kind of
Absolutely.
it should depend on the details a little bit. And then asking a lot of
Yeah, I think the issue is very nuanced.
exactly. And asking open-ended questions to sort of get to the heart of it. Like, what's going on here? Is it really a work ethic situation? So then
Mhm.
you would ask yourself, well, how do I instill a work ethic? Well, first of all, to parents of different ages now understand that screen time undermines work ethic, it undermines motivation, it undermines everything that you would want for your children. So
Mhm.
I didn't even let my kids watch TV until 5th grade. This was before there
Mm.
was these phones that, you know, but making sure that they have an attention span that can allow them to sit and concentrate on the homework. Well, how do you do that? Well, you make sure they're reading a lot. And because that's the
Mm.
way to build an attention span, and that they're either not on screens at all, or, I mean, not on screens at all is just what I believe. I don't even want to say or. It's what I just in my heart, and with everything I've learned over decades, believe that
Mhm.
screens are detrimental, period. And so if you want to build an attention span, have them reading 2 or 3 books a week for pleasure. So I guess, is it a work ethic issue? Is it that it's boring? Is it not challenging? Is it a stamina issue? It depends on the issue. And there are things that the school can do. There are things that the parent can do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have always really encouraged a love of reading in kids, and I see it. I see the impact of screens, and especially the impact of screens on kids' attention. Like, my son fights me on watching movies, and we're getting up to that, and he has this huge thick book he's reading for pleasure. And it took a while to get there. I think longer than it took me as a child because of the influx of mobile devices. So I just want to tell the parents out there that if your kids are using screens, like, there is a way to work up to that, but it does, as you're saying, Deborah, have that impact on their attention span. I've seen it as well.
Oh, and on Oh, on their self-esteem,
Oh, yeah.
on their happiness. So one of the things that I think parents can do for that is band together. So Jonathan Haidt, I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Haidt. He
I've
has
read the book as well. Yes. The
The Anxious Generation. His second book is for kids, The Amazing Generation, which I recommend as well. So the
Yeah.
Anxious Generation website has so many resources. There are parents who have banded together as not only by grade, by class, by entire school and organized
Mhm.
because the kids don't want all of the negative, the bullying, the teasing, the feeling like you're missing out, the not being able to just have fun, not being able to just be a kid. They don't want any of it. But if that's what everyone else is doing, if that's the social emotional currency, the one thing a preteen or an adolescent does not want is to be left out. So as a parent, you're swimming upstream if you're going to try to do it alone. You can't. It has to
Yeah,
be a whole community effort where
it
everybody
absolutely does.
says, we're all going to do this. And there are now entire groups, communities, schools that have done this, all with resounding success.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're absolutely right because trying to act alone as a parent and taking away the mobile devices, like you're going to be up for a fight like every single day from your child. I would say it's like near to impossible to do it. But using that whole like kids don't like being left out, if it's the whole community, kids will be left out of like not having a device.
Right.
And so you're using that to your advantage.
You're so right.
It's a hard thing, these mobile devices. They just came into our lives. We had no warning they were coming and bam, created so many issues for people and so much guilt on parents. But I love that you see it as a society problem instead of like an individual parenting problem, because I think that's what a lot of parents hear when they're like screen devices are bad. They internalize it and they're like, oh, I'm such a horrible parent for letting my kids have screens. Here, let me take them away. And then they experience the backlash and it becomes this nonstop fight at home versus what it could be if we as a community banded together and didn't use them, didn't allow our kids to have them.
Yeah, this specifically is absolutely a community issue. It can't be,
Hmm. Absolutely.
there's no way we can do it on our own. Yeah.
Yeah. What's one small change that a mom can make like this week to impact how her child learns?
Oh, interesting. There's two things I would say. I know you said one, but one is going to a store and letting them pick out a beautiful journal of any kind, letting
Mm.
them pick the one that they like the best, the pretty color, and letting them pick like a set of pens and saying this is a place for you to write because writing is one of the most important aspects of education. It's being left out more and more because it's not tested, but writing both, it's the same as in reading. It's quantity and quality. So
Mm.
giving and saying, this is a place where you can write. You can write about your day. You can write about what you've read. You can write about your thoughts on the news. It's just yours. So just encouraging writing at home. We don't often think about that as something we can
Yeah.
do. We're always told, make sure you read a lot at home. And that was going to be the second thing I said, letting kids pick books, whether it's from the library or the bookstore, whichever you choose, and making it a ritual. And then having one night a week, if you can. If you can't, it could be biweekly, monthly, but once a week is ideal. Family night where there's no screens, no TV. You do things that are cozy and sort of make you feel a sense of warmth and togetherness as a family. That could be lighting a fire in the fireplace or making popcorn or making their favorite food and spreading blankets out on the floor. Everybody get out their books and we're all reading as a family. Kids can really become transformed by the simple act of that interconnection between love, family, and reading.
I love that. And that's such a like cozy little thought too, spreading out all the blankets and getting a book out. Like I am a huge reader. I absolutely love it. I've loved it since I've been an elementary schooler. And it's amazing how hard it is to get kids to become readers, even when they see their parent reading all the time. But having that intentionality, I think is a amazing, amazing idea, Deborah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing all of this with us about what it means to be a well-educated child. Please share about your book and tell people where they can get it.
Oh, well, everywhere that books are available. And the website is thewelleducatedchild.org, O-R-G. The Well-Educated Child is a book I wrote based on decades of experience as an educator and a mother that reflects everything that I wish I had known when I first started out. And it was an uphill struggle. I'm an avid reader, an avid learner. And so over all those years of running schools, I learned so much and I wanted to be able to share it with others.
That is phenomenal. And thank you again for being here. And for everybody out there, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and I will talk with you later. If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You can also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com designed for every team. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free.